For relaxation, I love to dance. I can never get enough time to read, and I play the piano, and I love to write poetry.
Welcome to Archival. I'm your host, Juanita Tolliver, and today we're going to focus on rest and relaxation. Two things that deserve a lot more time, energy, and focus in our day-to-day lives. And I'm curious, how do you rest? Genuinely, I want to know. I want to know how you press pause and give yourself a moment of calm to recenter, reflect, and truly rest. If you follow me online and social media, you've seen some of my favorite ways to rest and relax, especially with deep breathing and yoga breaks. It's a practice that I committed to at some point within the past 10 years or so, and it forces me out of my brain and into my body. And as an anxious person who lives in my head, that's essential. Like many people, I give rest a lot more attention at the end of the year during winter break. And I started to wonder, how do other people rest, reset, and relax? So naturally, I started digging through the archives. And what I found out about some of my favorite authors and leaders really surprised me. Honestly, I'm not sure why I was surprised because I recognize that every person on this planet is an entire human being full of multitudes. So instead of surprised, let's say I was delighted. For the next few episodes, we're going to explore the rest archives. And I hope that you're as delighted as I am. You may know Octavia Butler as the award-winning science fiction novelist and Afrofuturism luminary behind prophetic works like Parable of the Sower, the 1993 novel in which a fictional presidential candidate actually used the phrase, "Make America Great Again." She's also the author of complex stories about race and culture that are being retold via television and film projects like Kindred and The Fledgling. But beyond her work, one of the ways that Octavia Butler relaxed and reset was in nature. She took 4-mile walks regularly.
And if I'm being a good person that day, I do a 4 mile walk in the later morning. And I don't like summer because the later morning comes, the light comes too quickly, and I feel that I should be out walking. I like to walk just around dawn.
She also took naps as part of her daily routine.
And I generally take a nap. That's one of the things that I could never do when I was working for other people, so I was just dead very early in the day. But I'll take about an hour nap and put a book tape on and snooze.
Notice where she said when she worked for other people. Those naps were thanks in large part to her being a recipient of the MacArthur Fellowship, which provided stability and financial resources for her to be able to do her work uninterrupted. In addition to these daily pauses, Butler also enjoyed hiking with friends like Leslie Howell. According to a profile featured in Vulture magazine in 2022, written by E. Alex Jung, the pair met in 1985 during a course that Butler taught at Clarion, where Howell was a student just after Butler returned from a trip to Peru. Officially, it was a research trip for her Exogenesis trilogy, but I imagine that she enjoyed the hiking thoroughly. Through the years, Butler and Howell became road trip and hiking buddies, especially after Butler moved to Seattle in 1999. During her interview for the feature in Vulture, Howell shared that she and Butler would take hiking expeditions to Wallace Creek, Mount Rainier, and the ice caves. She said, quote, "She really loved getting out in nature. If Octavia had a place where she saw God, that was it." Howell also added, quote, "When we'd go hiking, she would be striding up switchbacks and I'd be panting along behind her. And she'd be like, 'Oh, do you want me to wait for you?'" In photos featured on the science fiction and fantasy writers' website, Butler can be seen in her brown hiking boots, colorful floral tops, with a camera in one hand, standing in front of mountains, lakes, and rocky creeks. One photo even included a beautiful snow-capped Mount Shuksan. Nature and fresh air were a source for Octavia Butler, and she immersed herself in it to recenter and relax. My favorite part about learning about her hikes was seeing how relaxed she looked while doing it. Every smile represented a moment of calm, and given the tenor of her literary creations, it was delightful to see. If you'd like to see the images described in this episode, you can watch Archival on YouTube at Archival Pod. Rosa Parks was a central figure to the Montgomery bus boycott that began after she and other Black people, including Claudette Colvin, refused to move from their seats on segregated buses throughout 1955. Parks continued that activism as she joined the March on Washington in 1963 and the March from Selma to Montgomery in 1965. She was also a supporter of Shirley Chisholm, and in 1987, she co-founded the Rosa and Raymond Parks Institute for Self-Development. Rosa Parks was also a yogi. She started her yoga journey by attending a yoga class with her niece and nephew in 1965, and they chronicled the experience in the book, Our Auntie Rosa, writing, quote, "Most people could never picture the mother of the civil rights movement doing upward-facing dog or any of the other poses. But the older Auntie Rosa got, the more it seemed she evolved." They also added, quote, "Eventually, she learns the movements and yogic principles well enough to practice alone in her home. She'll answer the door wearing yoga pants. The exercises help clear her mind. The stretches keep her body limber." Dr. Stephanie Y. Evans, author and professor at Georgia State University, found the unpublished photos of Rosa Parks practicing yoga in the Library of Congress records in 2019 after reading these recollections in the book. One photo is dated March 1973, and Rosa Parks would have celebrated her 60th birthday only 1 month prior. In the image, Parks is practicing the bow pose, lying on her stomach on a striped blanket, and she's reaching back and holding her ankles in her hands, looking forward with a gentle smile on her face. She does the pose so well that the bottoms of her feet are pointed towards the camera. Parks is dressed in a black top and shorts with tights, and her hair is pulled back into a simple bun with a black headband. In another photo, she's kneeling on a striped blanket with her hands behind her back, and her calm smile is ever present. What's most touching about witnessing Parks' yoga practice is that she was committed to moving and healing her body and her mind throughout her life, especially as she aged, and in recognition of the trauma and targeting she experienced in 1955. She cared for her body in a gentle way, and considering that she lived to be 92 years old, it seems to have really paid off. If you'd like to see the images described in this episode, you can watch Archival on YouTube at Archival Pod. Shirley Chisholm found plenty of ways to relax her mind and body throughout her stressful career in politics.
For relaxation, I love to dance. I can never get enough time to read. We have a lovely big library upstairs. I read all kinds of books, and I play the piano, and I love to write poetry.
Considering the breadth of her challenging political career, it's no wonder that Chisholm found plenty of ways to express herself and her talents. But did you hear how she said, "I love to dance," and Chisholm could move? She did so freely and regularly, even hitting up the local clubs in Brooklyn and showing off at parties throughout her life. There are even news stories about how the dance floor would clear when she and a longtime family friend, Vincent Morris, would dance at El Morocco Club on Saturday nights. They whirled under the spotlight and drew heavy rounds of applause from everyone watching. And Chisholm's displays of her talent didn't stop there. In 1969, during an interview with David Frost, he wheeled out a baby grand piano on which Congresswoman Chisholm pounded out Tuxedo Junction, one of her favorite jazz numbers. As a child, Chisholm's mother only wanted her to learn classical music, but in an act of rebellion, she memorized jazz numbers. When I was researching my book, A More Perfect Party, The Night Shirley Chisholm and Diane Carroll Reshaped Politics, Chisholm's affinity for the arts and self-expression was one of the most exciting details I explored. It showed her freedom and personality in a way I hadn't heard described before. And uncovering how she tapped into her talents as an organizer, a New York Assemblywoman, Congresswoman, and presidential candidate reminded me not only of their value as tools to relieve stress and rest, but also as tools to connect with people. By playing Tuxedo Junction on The David Frost Show, a nationally syndicated television show, Chisholm charmed viewers who had been inundated by headlines about her, quote, aggressive nature and her harsh tone. Seeing her have fun in a moment of levity and music forced viewers to challenge what they thought they knew about her. And I'm sure she felt right at home. So much so that David Frost invited her back to the show to play piano whenever she wanted. In her poetry, Chisholm confronted some of the more difficult themes of existing and leading as a Black woman in the United States. During a local NBC interview, she read a portion of her poem entitled Land of Our Birth, in which she asks some of the exact same questions that U.S. citizens are asking today. Take a listen as we close out this episode.
Land of our birth, tell us in words, simple and plain, the reason for all of our torture and pain. Are we not part of this nation strong? For what have we done that is so wrong? Land of our birth, tell us by deeds, sincere and true, the reason we're not really part of the crew. Did we not sacrifice and hope not in vain to be assured that there would be equal gain? Land of our birth, tell us in song, hearty and loud, amidst the singing, jostling crowd, that we are all citizens of your realm and that you are captain at the helm. Land of our birth, the time has come for action fast. We can no longer live in the past. This mighty land, the powerful and free, must now demonstrate the real democracy.
Thank you for listening to Archival. This was a revealing episode about the humanity of three women whom I admire and respect. And I'm definitely taking notes on daily rest practices, especially taking a midday nap and a dance break. I want to hear from you about how you rest and what you found most surprising or delightful from the archives of how Octavia Butler, Rosa Parks, and Shirley Chisholm practice rest and relaxation. Email me at contact@juanitatolliver.com or send me a DM at ArchivalPod on Instagram or TikTok. On the next episode of Archival, we'll continue our journey through rest archives and explore examples of resting abroad. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Archival is a production of J. Tolliver Media, LLC.